Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and I finally watched Batman Returns, and welcome back to my Batman series. I'm going to be covering every movie that I have not yet reviewed in honor of The Batman coming out on March 3rd, and I'm so excited. That movie can't come out fast enough. Batman Returns was directed once again by Tim Burton, who directed the 1989 Batman, and sees the return of Michael Keaton as Batman/Bruce Wayne, but adds characters like the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, the Catwoman, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, and Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. Can't lie, that's a very solid cast. This movie picks up where the '89 film left off. Batman has established himself in Gotham and is now, well, the lethal protector, if you will, with all apologies to Venom. But this time around, Gotham sees a new threat in the form of Oswald Cobblepot, played by Danny DeVito. He was abandoned by his very wealthy family as a baby, and was raised by penguins, only in comics. And so to take out his revenge, he teams up with a wealthy businessman named Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken, and the two conspire to make the Penguin the mayor of Gotham. Yeah, I could see him winning. While all of that's going down, a new anti-hero, if you want to call it, named Catwoman is making her presence felt, both figuratively and literally. Batman Returns I always heard mixed things about this. I had heard some really good things, but also this movie has a bit of a reputation of that it kind of jumped the shark on the Batman concept for a little bit. And now that I have actually seen it, I do understand both of those points. But before I dive into my thoughts, I want to pass things over to my friend Brevon over at Brevon's Flicks and Games. He asked if he could collab with me on this review, and of course, I love having him on the channel, so it was an easy yes. So without any further ado, Brevon, take it away.
Yours truly, Brevon Thompson, is back, and I want to give a big thank you to Ryan for inviting me on his channel to talk about Batman Returns, the second in the original Batman film franchise to be directed by Tim Burton, and once again stars Michael Keaton as Batman. And when it comes to Michael Keaton as Batman, I've always loved this version of the character because he's badass looking. He has probably one of the best suits used in a live-action Batman film. And even though I think that Michael Keaton is a good Batman, I never really cared much for his Bruce Wayne, and that's mostly due to the writing for both of the Burton films. But still, I do think that he's pretty badass as Batman. And when it comes to Danny DeVito as the Penguin, I'm kind of mixed on this character. Well, in terms of how he's played by Danny DeVito. For the most part, when it comes to Danny DeVito, there are moments where he can, be serious, and there's moments where he's absolutely hamming it up, and he's, having the time of his life whenever the camera is on him, and you can tell that he's just having a ball with this role. Though there are some moments where he can be a little bit over the top, but because of that, I kind of like it, but how Tim Burton wanted to have this character be portrayed as this tragic monster that we're apparently supposed to care about, but all of a sudden he turns into this supposed child murderer in the third act. But so it's kind of are we supposed to care about this character, or are we supposed to be disturbed by him? I'm going with the latter because of his motivations, really. But when it comes to DeVito's performance, I mean, he's really hamming it up, but because of that, I kind of like it. As for Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, whoo, she was good. That's all I can say. But how Michelle Pfeiffer portrays both Catwoman and Selena Kyle. Selena Kyle in particular, especially after her first death at the hands of her boss, who's played by Christopher Walken. So her boss pushes her out of a window, and she falls several stories down, and she's revived by cats. and she gains cat-like powers, and it's never really fully explained, like, how she's able to come back from the dead and all of a sudden gain cat-like abilities. But okay, it works somehow. But I do like Selena and Bruce's relationship, and it's kind of tragic at the end when both of them realize that they can't be together. In terms of how its story is handled, well, you can tell that Warner Brothers, like, after the success of the '89 film, that they gave Tim Burton free reign to do basically whatever the hell he wanted. And there are some batshit crazy moments that kind of make it entertaining for me, because I watched this recently with a few of my friends, and we were just having a good time. And it does provide some good laughs. But, I mean, if you watched the film, then you would probably have the same reaction as we did. But, yeah. This is more of a Tim Burton film than an actual Batman film, because you can tell, like, he's more invested in focusing on the villains more than Batman. But I do respect Tim Burton as a filmmaker. I do think that he makes some interesting films, and because of that, I've always appreciated what he has given us over the years. Danny Elfman's score is amazing. He's one of my favorite composers for superhero films because of his work on Darkman, Batman, Dick Tracy, the Flash TV series, and of course the first two Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. But other than that, I do think that this is a good Batman film. It's nowhere by means perfect, but it has like a few issues, but it's still entertaining, and I still enjoy Batman Returns, so yeah. That's the best way that I can describe this film. And Ryan, thank you so much for having me back on your channel to review Batman Returns. And thank you so much, as always, for watching, guys. Looking forward to doing more videos really soon on either Ryan's channel or my channel, Brevon's Flicks and Games. If you want my thoughts on old or new films, of course, you know where to find me.
Brevon's channel will be linked in the description of this video. Go check him out. I think that his channel is great. Now that I have officially seen both Batman '89 and Batman Returns, I can definitively say that I like '89 better than Batman Returns. However, with the caveat that I do appreciate some of the choices that Tim Burton made for this movie. Firstly, though, the good stuff. It's always nice to see Michael Keaton back in this role. I can't wait to see him in The Flash. Here, though, he's kinda, I don't want to say muted, but his role is more limited, strangely enough, than he was in the '89 version. It feels like they were going for more of a Bruce Wayne kind of story and less a Batman story. And while I like Michael Keaton as an actor, he was much more interesting when he was wearing the cape and cowl than just Bruce Wayne. Danny DeVito eats every piece of scenery as the Penguin. I'm of two minds on this portrayal. On the one hand, I like how hard Danny DeVito went with this performance. I like how he just committed himself to it. But at the same time, I've seen enough Penguin and read enough Batman comics with the Penguin in it to know that I prefer the Penguin as like the very well-tailored businessman type of Penguin, like how he's portrayed in the later seasons of Batman, the animated series. I believe they were called The New Adventures of Batman and Robin. That's the perfect Penguin right there. Despite looking deformed, he portrays himself as a gentleman. He would rather fight battles with his brain than with his brawn. Lack thereof, if you will. I feel like Burton was trying to go for more of a sympathetic villain, but, I mean, the Penguin does himself no favors in the movie. Specifically, him versus a dude's nose. You'll know it when you see it. Not to mention that by the end, he just throws all his mayoral aspirations aside and just wants to take out all of Gotham's firstborn children in a modern biblical plague. Yes, really. So I am of two minds on him. I am also of two minds on Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, who, give props to Michelle Pfeiffer, switching up from mild-mannered Selena Kyle to Catwoman is just a 180 that in the hands of a lesser actress would have fallen, failed, and died trying. But absolute props to Pfeiffer for just knocking it out of the ballpark. However, she kind of leans into it a little too much to where, I don't know, it just felt a little weird to me, that's all. All I'm saying is that it's going to be interesting to see what Zoe Kravitz brings to the role. And I guess I did bury the lead here, but basically, the reason why this movie was made was that Batman 89 made, like, crap tons of money. And so the studio was like, alright, we need to make another one of these. And because Tim Burton did such a good job with Batman 89, they were like, okay, Tim, you made us a lot of money. So here's a little more creative control. Knock yourself out. This was Tim Burton knocking himself out. If you're not familiar with the history of this movie, to make a long story short, this movie ended up making significantly less than projected. It made about $200 million at the box office, but nowhere near the totals of the first Batman. Compounding all of this was that the movie was so near the knuckle that McDonald's pulled out their deal to create Happy Meal toys for this movie. That part I found particularly odd, because now having seen both 89 and Batman Returns, they're dark in different ways. I feel like 89 is more grittier, while Returns is has a lot more innuendo, that's all I will say. And if that's what parents were complaining about, then I get it. But considering the fact that there's a lot of death in Batman 89, and they were seemingly okay with that, I don't know, it just feels like a bit of a double standard to me. But long story short, the movie ended up not doing as well as studios wanted, which meant that the third Batman movie would be in the hands of a different director, but I'll talk about that in a second. At the end of the day, I have a lot of respect for Batman Returns in that I love what they did and the choices that they made. Some of them were too over the top. I give full props to that. However, I like what Burton tried to do and tried to follow his vision. I may not agree with it, but I like that he followed his vision. I like the spirit of that. Before I officially move away from the Tim Burton side of things, I wanted to address the third Tim Burton movie that would have been made had this movie done subpar at the box office. In my research, I found that Burton was supposed to helm a third Batman movie called Batman Continues. It was supposed to see Michael Keaton return as Batman, but with new additions including Robin Williams as the Riddler and Marlon Wayans as Robin. I don't know if I love that choice or if I hate that choice. I have to marinate on that. Oh, and a returning Billy D. Williams reprising his role as Harvey Dent, and this would see him become Two-Face. Not gonna lie, I would have loved to have seen that. Details outside of the movie was going to be made and who would have been cast in it are a bit spotty in my research, but from what I have seen, just based off of what I have seen, I would have loved to have seen what Burton would have done. However, it's confined to the forever what-if pile. But with Flashpoint, anything's possible. But starting from now, we have entered the Joel Schumacher zone. And in the words of Hellboy, oh crap. But that is all for me. Thank you so much as always for watching. Again, thank you to Brevon for joining me on this video. His channel will be linked in the description. And also, the next movie I'll be covering in this series is Joel Schumacher's first Batman film, Batman Forever. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.